Hi, I'm Kristin Gower, Client President at EssenceMediacom, and welcome to the live sessions from the Group M rooftop at what I would like to say is sunny Cannes, but raining today, but has been sunny Cannes. Let's just start with some introductions. Omar, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Omar Carrion. I'm responsible for the integrated marketing and communication and omnichannel experiences for Kellanova in Latin America. I've been 10 years in the company and very excited to be here with you guys.
Fantastic. I'm Steph Stopulos, the Vice President of Media at Target in the US.
Great. And we are here today talking about the future is shoppable. And so we have with us today a brand and a retailer, and also a brand, I guess, a brand and a retailer.
Yeah,
and,
we do
and
double duty.
Yeah, absolutely. So Omar, starting with you, as Kellanova doesn't sell directly, how are you thinking about social commerce and the steps you're taking, particularly maybe in partnering with retailers like a Target?
Yeah, for sure. Especially in our region, we're trying to have this full funnel type of mindset and obviously try to capitalize and to use most of our the websites of our retailer partners, no? Especially just to give you an example with Walmart, just to try to influence that part of the equation in terms of communication, not only just to translate to the transaction itself, but also we understand that the retailers' website are becoming a huge reference for the consumers, especially for e-commerce and the online grocery commerce, but also for the offline, right? So we try to cover that part of the equation and also to use it and partnering with them in order to create a more seamless experience.
Okay, and just to kind of deep down on that, in terms of the actual social commerce, which social platforms are you using when you talk about kind of driving traffic to a retailer website?
Yeah, obviously we're trying to use the traditional ones, no? The Metas, the Facebook, Instagram, and right now over the past 15 months also we just started to pilot some tests with TikTok. In order just to try to understand what is the right fit and what is the right experience that we can create in terms of content, and also what is the relevant type of efforts that we can deliver for the consumer in that particular prompts. No? To try also to understand the level of engagement and interaction and how the experience could travel across different touch points.
Great. And Steph, as a retailer and a brand, what is motivating? I mean, you know, social commerce is not easy, right? It's another lot of creators to manage, technology to manage. So what is motivating Target to take those steps? And from the other side, how are you partnering with brands like Kellanova?
Sure. I mean, I think the thing that is the most motivating for us is we are going to try to stay in sync and follow the guest wherever they are, and enable them to have a positive shopping commerce experience in those places, whether that's in our store locations, our .com, our app, the places that we own, but especially in other environments. And in those other environments, in particular social, that's where we see people doing a lot of discovery of new brands they love and new things that they have. And we want to ensure that as the moment strikes, we're able to really power a meaningful, consistent commerce experience. And that's really important because in a lot of conversations we think about getting to sale, and that matters a lot. But there's also part of the experience that happens after that in terms of fulfillment. Sometimes people want to return or exchange, being able to refine something that they loved. And that's really the area that we're focused on with brands. Is like, let's make sure we have an excellent discovery experience, and then let's ensure that the entire experience after that is also excellent for people. And that's what keeps them coming back.
And you know, you mentioned their kind of discovery, and I think that's the thing about social commerce, right? In a sense that it's a collapsing of the funnel, a discovery to transaction in under 10 seconds, and social commerce is driving those impulse purchases, so faster to conversion. So, are you able to talk about how you're sort of using a commerce platform to make it more of an entertaining experience or to drive those impulse purchases?
Yeah, so it's a really great question, because what we find is that guests that purchase through a social channel are actually in a little bit of a different mental need state. They don't necessarily know all the time exactly what they're looking for, or even that they plan to shop.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that that's entertaining, and usually the way that we can use it as a new entry point into brands or our own brands, et cetera. And so leveraging content that is humorous and grabs attention to break through, thoughtful in terms of the context within which we place it and the creators that we select, we find those things to be really powerful in terms of ensuring that the shopping experience is in line with everything else that they're engaging with, and provides an overall holistic, great kind of guest experience.
Great. So Stephanie, staying with you for a little bit as a partner with a physical store, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned something about that sort of returns and the whole experience after transaction.
Yes.
So what is the role for a physical store in an e-commerce world when everything is shoppable, from TikTok shop to WhatsApp to WeChat to everything? What is the role for a physical store?
Yeah. We're actually finding in a very digital social world, store locations and physical placement have never been more important. People still love the experience of coming in, physically browsing, being able to touch or taste and sample different merchandise, and really getting into the spirit of our brand in new ways. When we're able to look omnichannel across and see people start to move, we really see the power of that coming to life. And we're seeing it across all demographic groups, more and more so being led out of Gen Z, that they really love that physical experience. And then we recognize that when they are in the store aisles, they're also often simultaneously using social platforms to look at trends, to figure out what newness they want to lean into. And so we try to think about all of those as not two separate trips, but usually trips that exist in the same guest moment. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the Gen Z thing is fascinating. You know, when we were talking and you said that Gen Z is a big proponent of in-store shopping.
Yes.
Right, trying to get back out there. But then
Yes.
they have all that technology in their hand. So how you combine those two things together.
Absolutely right. Yep.
Now, Omar, you know, I think what many people maybe don't understand is that B2B commerce is actually growing, 3-4 times faster than consumer. Huge volumes and a very fast trajectory. And so can you tell us a little bit about how you're looking at e-commerce from a B2B sense, particularly in the sort of mom and pop shops, maybe in the developing markets?
Yeah, and especially for a company and the type of products that we have, that we don't sell directly, obviously, we're trying to find new opportunities and new directions, and making pilots to try to understand how we can help distributors, resellers, in order to create a different experience, especially when you have the opportunity to make the pre-selling orders, for example. So we just started to figuring out the transactions through WhatsApp, just to try to see what is the level and the rhythm that we can get access to that type of channel. And also to make a certain level of partnerships with other big players. So especially, for example, in Latin America, Coca-Cola FEMSA is having a massive channel of distribution. So we're trying to partner with them and to try to understand how we can also, across other different type of products that are in the frequency stores, the traditional mom and pops that not used to be our main channel, right? How we can create a better experience from the tendero that we call it in Latin America, and to create a more closer relationship with them.
I mean, small business is the fastest growing cohort, I think, in most of our markets, right? So that intersection of how we're looking at the small business mom and pop shops with our fastest growing sales channel, you know, we think about this being a sort of a big retailer moment with e-commerce. But if we can get that fastest growing cohort engaged, I mean, that's where things are going to take off. And that's also the smaller purchases you were saying, right? In terms of shifting into snacks and convenience food and high frequency food.
Yeah, and also we identify that this part of the last miler also have an impact on these small shops and mom and pops. And We're also making a couple of pilots with Rappi, that is a huge last miler in Latin America, to help and to support that type of transactions. That it gives the opportunity to the small stores or the other small shops to try to get access to other windows of opportunities, and also to create like a different type of experience for the consumer.
All right, so Stephanie, back to you. AI wouldn't be Cam without mentioning it.
It would not.
Right? But with e-commerce covering everything from the customer understanding to the discovery moment to the transaction to the fulfillment,
Yes.
this is the role for AI, right? So when we look at Target, how are you utilizing AI across this whole customer journey?
Yeah, it's again in Cannes, it is absolutely one of the words that is in almost every conversation. And I think that we have an unbelievable amount of healthy respect for AI, and with that, we're really treating it thoughtfully. So we're on the beginning of our journey. We're starting to work with brands to integrate into some of our app and site experiences. So to think about what that really could unlock in terms of people coming in digitally and having a thoughtful shopping experience. Think about digital aisles that are merchandised in completely different ways, tied to how people virtually and digitally shop versus physically. That's where we're starting to use it. We're starting to use it across our store operations in new ways, in terms of helping our team members on the spot answer questions, getting information out sooner and in smarter ways, and then allowing us to better connect as an enterprise organization, so that if there's questions getting asked in Sacramento, we're essentially creating environments where AI is able to learn off of those, prepare, and then help our team members in Sarasota, answer something similar in a way that's right for them. So we're really, really excited about it. And then, of course, we're looking at it in terms of marketing and how can we drive some additional efficiencies within our production and creation of magical experiences for people. Yeah. It's everywhere, Kristin.
Yeah.
So.
and one of the ones that I found quite fascinating was the whole live shopping thing. The idea that you having chatbots, talking to customers at the same time, answering questions. So you have a live shopping experience, you have chatbots answering questions in real time, but then you're also pulling in insights from AI, which you can feed into a real live environment. I mean, Omar, in terms of, an example either from Kellanova or another brand that you admire, what are you seeing in terms of the best examples of commerce, whether that's AI-driven commerce or just social commerce in general?
I think that right now there is also an expansion in terms of the knowledge that we're getting of the consumer understanding and behaviors, right? So AI is also giving us the opportunity to try to have a more granularity and more understanding of what is the type of behaviors and how they are interacting, and to try to have a much better segmentation in terms of the shopper personas, and how also can start to correlate with the audiences that we just started to cluttering, right? So I think in terms of the business intelligence that we're getting from that perspective, I think it's amazing how we can start to maximize. Obviously, there are many other challenges in terms of technology that we have to be sure to get connected in terms of the information, but I think it's just the start of the journey, and I think that there are a lot of opportunities that right now we just started to identify and to understand. And obviously the logic one is related to the content, right? But I think in terms of the business intelligence, there is a massive opportunity in there.
Yeah. What about you? Any favorite examples, either from Target or another brand that you admire in terms of this is really cool use of social or a really kind of interesting commerce moment?
Less commerce specific, but I just, the amount with which I already have integrated ChatGPT into my own experience and life, I've been personally shocked at how effortless that has become. I think you're starting to see that integrate into other platforms. So the OpenAI relationship with Dotdash Meredith is a really good one. Google obviously is cooking up a lot of stuff. Everybody has their own little flavor of it. And I think we'll start to see that become even more relatable, intuitive.
Okay, so Omar, obviously there's a lot of experimentation going on in social commerce, whether that's with influencers or live shopping or shops within shops. What's an example from either Kellanova or another brand that you admire that thought, okay, that's a cool use of a social platform or an interesting use of a creator?
Yeah, I think for us, especially trying to be honored to the test and learn part of the equation, Pringles is giving us a lot of opportunities to try to have a much better experience on that. So Pringles, for example, it has a huge presence through the gaming territory. So it's a quite very engaged community, very interactive. So we just started to create several engagement activities and promotions with codes and with the platforms in terms of the content that later on relate specifically to the retailer.
Like a QR code?
Yeah.
On the Pringles pack? Or
More than
within the
QR
platform?
codes, there are printed codes
Yeah.
that give you access to a specific and a special edition type of content that also translate to the retail media that we just also starting to understand in a much better way, right? Also, we're having a quite close relationship with some of the retailers also to try to understand what is their perspective and how we can use it in a more better way. But probably Pringles is, we just say that it's like our rebel brand in our portfolio. It's more younger, it's quite a little bit more irreverent. So give us the stretch to start moving in a quite different. And it gives us also the opportunity, it's very social.
Yeah.
So give us the opportunity.
A social product.
Exactly.
Yeah. Social product on a social platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So give us the opportunity to stretch a little bit the type of content, the way that we interact, how we can integrate in a more organic way, if we want to say it, with the influencers, and how we can drive that experience into the final steps of the funnel. So for us, it's not quite like the traditional e-commerce type of platform, but I think it's giving us that opportunity to have a much better understanding.
An omnichannel approach.
Yeah.
And Steph, Target's a very creative retailer in their advertising and their approach. What's something that you've kind of done that you love or another brand has done?
Well, Omar mentioned Pringles, and so not only did that make me hungry, but it made me think about the fact that in Cannes we're talking about AI a lot, we're also talking about sports a lot. And so as we were thinking about shoppable commerce, there was a big opportunity for us around moments in the US when people gather for game day.
Yeah.
And snacks and apparel and all the things that you need, whether you're on site or you're sitting at home. And what we've really looked at that environment for is a place to find this incredible fandom and then turn that into more of a well-rounded shopping experience. We're doing that through, of course, channels like CTV, et cetera, but social is a big part of that. We did some work this year around the Super Bowl to engage a group of influencers that had kind of branded themselves husbands of Target. Right. And they usually would sit and record videos in the parking lot while their partners were inside shopping. And so we leaned into that and partnered with them and created content that was fully shoppable around the spirit of what their audience expects from them, but also the moment that we felt like we could really, play to win in terms of game day and snacks. And that really did a great job.
Yeah, that reminds me, I think it was DoorDash that did that campaign at the Super Bowl, right? Making sure that they could deliver every single advertiser's, everyone who was advertising at the Super Bowl.
That's right.
They did the partnership to say, okay, then you can log on here and then we will deliver. It was a brilliant execution. Yeah. So it's not all fun and games and creators. There's some bumps in the road. So Stephanie, staying with you for a moment, what have been the challenges as you sort of experiment with these new platforms?
I think some of the biggest things, again, are just being thoughtful about what happens post-transaction, right? When you're working with creators or social commerce environments, they know their audiences really, really well. The opportunity to seamlessly integrate into the platforms, all of that exists. And then there's the thing that happens afterward. And that's really where we have put a lot of focus, is ensuring that from the moment of discovery to your doorstep and then whatever you decide after that is really well connected and always leads with the experience that we want people to have from Target. And that takes a lot across the organization, including logistics and store operations, and marketing is just a part of that.
It's the inventory management of it all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Omar, how about you? What have been the sort of maybe the hard-won lessons that you've had?
My God, there are too many. No, and especially for a traditional CPG company,
Yeah.
it's becoming a very challenging moment
Yeah.
because we have to transform the ecosystem and just to try to understand e-commerce not just as another channel. So to be part of this equation that is not only related on the transaction path, but also how we can expand the performance and the understanding, and that there are a lot of implications for that. It's in terms of the capabilities, in terms of the technology, in terms of the talent that we are having in there. That especially for us, the CPGs, I think there is a huge gap after COVID that we need to force the organizations to move in that direction.
Yeah.
So I think right now, in terms of the digital transformation and the capabilities and the new technologies, we're trying to make the catch up and to try to adjust our organization and our culture to move in that direction.
Yeah. Well, thank you both very much for this. I mean, I think it's the combination of the test and learn and the agility, and not treating it, Stephanie, as you were saying, with just one part, right? It's not just the transaction, it's not just the discovery, it's the inventory management. So I think that's a kind of a good way of wrapping it up, where the future is shoppable and everything is shoppable. Then you need to think about what is everything. Everything is entertainment, everything is delivery, everything is the mum and pop shop, and it's the big flagship retailer as well. So if you're going to tackle everything, it's a big journey, and you've got to test and learn. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us here at the Group M Rooftop Live Sessions.